What is going on, everyone? Trust the Buzz here. If you're new to the channel, I make Charlotte Hornets content. So if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the expectations for the Charlotte Hornets, kind of where they should be at the highest, where they should be at the lowest. This is not a prediction video. I actually have that video. More than likely, I'll be doing that tomorrow. I'll actually do like a prediction video as far as like individual, how I see individual players performing, and then like where I see the team as a whole. But this is just kind of gauging what the media is saying and then kind of giving my thoughts on that, because the expectations I've seen as high as 6 seed for, a lot of fans. I've seen the expectation to be, let's see kind of what happens, but we really probably should try to get a high draft pick. I've just seen a lot. And we're just going to kind of find the middle, because there is a middle there. I don't think that necessarily we should bottom out, but I also don't know if maybe 6 seed is in the cards, but we'll see. So first of all, as you can tell, we're just looking at the roster here. LaMelo Ball, our starting point guard. You could switch these either way you like. It's interchangeable. Honestly, it doesn't really even matter. Not really. But I think I saw something where I guess the governors, Rich Chanel and Gabe Plotkin, said that their backcourt of LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. So I think it's safe to say like Brandon Miller technically is the shooting guard, but in reality, it doesn't really matter. But Brandon Miller, Josh Green, Miles Bridges, Mark Williams. I think that more than likely is going to be the starting lineup if we get a healthy Mark Williams. That's a big if, and that plays a big part in what the expectation should be going into the season. And then you got the backups, Vasilije Micic, Trey Mann, Cody Martin, Grant Williams, Nick Richards. Very reasonable. Tajon Salon is probably the only person I probably see getting minutes that's not in the like top 10. Yeah, Seth Curry, we'll get in there sometime. There's an injury. Maybe even see a little bit of Nick Smith Jr. maybe. But other than that, I don't foresee this 10 being. This is the 10. With that being said, LaMelo Ball, I think he has exceeded my expectation as far as what he's going to look back from injury. I've said before on this channel, the Buzzbee podcast, anywhere you see me talk about Charlotte Hornets basketball, I've said that it's just I can't keep expecting LaMelo Ball to miss significant time and just jump back into being able to be a top point guard in the league. But he does it every time. Now, sometimes it may take him a couple of games to get back in it, but it doesn't take half a season like we've seen a lot of people. It doesn't take, 20 games. It takes 10 max. And then even going into this preseason, I think he looked very good off the rip. And then, I think he kind of fell off at the end, but I think at that point, he just wanted to prove himself he could do it. Then after that, I think he kind of took the foot off the gas. Hopefully that's not an indication of kind of how this team is going to perform, because we've seen that that's kind of what we've done in the past, where I feel like they kind of feel like they prove themselves to an extent. They're like, all right, we can step back. But it's preseason. I'm not putting too much into it. I'm only relating it just because it's not like we haven't seen that last 3, 4, 5 seasons. So that's the only reason I bring it up. But it is preseason, and I think Charles Lee has done a good job of just promoting good energy, promoting, wanting to play basketball. But yeah, LaMelo Ball exceeded my expectations. So I think he's going to have a big season. And obviously he plays the biggest part in whether or not this team is going to be good or bad. Brandon Miller, I think he's only going to get better. That's one thing I can say is consensus around the league, is that Brandon Miller, after his rookie season last year, is the guy as far as everybody is in love with him, no matter who you're a fan of, or even if you're a complete neutral somehow. Everybody loves Brandon Miller. Now, how they feel about his relationship with LaMelo Ball, as far as like how they're going to work on the court, there's mixed feelings. I think all Charlotte Hornets fans will tell you that there really isn't. They can play well together. I don't think there's really a big deal about whose team it is or anything like that. I think that you have two extremely talented guys in their own way. One thing I will say is that apparently Brandon Miller is not going to take as many mid-range shots this year, according to Charles Lee. And he said he didn't want him to take as many, but in preseason, it almost was just neutralized as if he just wasn't taking them at all, and said he would like to trade those for getting at the rim. And while I get the point, Brandon Miller's a really good mid-range shooter, so I hope that they don't remove that part from his game, because the biggest thing about Brandon Miller is that he's a 3-level scorer. So I would hate to see that get taken away. If it's substituted for him performing at the rim a lot better, then fine. But still, I think he needs to be able to get to the mid range to throw teams off guard. You don't want to kind of do the same thing. You don't want to just put it up at the rim and then shoot threes. That's the Nate Oates approach, which is what he did at Alabama. So we know he can do it. It's just he did perform so well in the mid range. Hate to see that taken away from him. So we'll see. Josh Green, I think 3 and D. I don't think I like what I've seen from him. I don't think he's going to do anything crazy. Just be efficient, bring the energy, and that's what he did so far. He did miss some time in preseason, but I believe it was just all precautionary. You kind of know what you're going to get from Josh Green, and I don't think there's a reason to keep trotting that out there. Especially if he is dinged up a little bit. Miles Bridges. The biggest thing for him actually hasn't been anything that had to do with his play at all. It has everything to do with what he said a couple weeks ago, where he was saying that he foresees LaMelo, Brandon Miller being the main scorers. He's just going to kind of be the guy that's just there. As far as I got y'all's back, whether that I need to pick up some scoring, I need to play better defense, I need to help facilitate, I need to just make myself available, whatever that may be, I'll do it. And that to me is outside of Mark Williams' health, because I'm pretty confident in Brandon Miller, pretty confident in Josh Green as far as what they're going to do. Outside of Mark Williams' health, I thought that was a key thing that we needed to talk about going into the season. And the fact that he's already addressed it, I think, is going to do wonders for this team, because that's exactly what he needs to do. He is an all-around player, in my opinion. He can be an all-around player. He chooses, we've seen the on-ball defense be good. We've seen it fall off. We've seen the off-ball defense be good. We've seen it fall off. So if he can just buy in, I think that will do the wonders for the team. And a new contract will have you bought in, especially considering, new direction of the team trying to be good. With that being said, with Mark Williams, I mean, he's just going to be the anchor of the defense. If Mark Williams, I think, misses more than 20 games, or if it's expected of him to miss more than 20 games or 20 games, I think that we need to get on the phone. I think that we need to look at centers around the league. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I know maybe some people might be looking at Robert Williams in Portland. I'm sorry. Some people have said DeAndre Ayton, which I don't really know how that would fit, but I'm just throwing some names out there. I haven't really looked myself to look around the league, but if this team is serious about competing, and you want to see what you got as a whole, I think that Nick Richards is not the answer, though he is good in spot minutes. You can't ask Nick Richards to be your starting center again, filling in for somebody else. They're very similar in what they do. I've said that a lot, but there is enough difference to where you can tell who has the ability to be a true starting center and who has the ability just to be like. I think with Nick Richards, I don't ever see him being a starting center with our team the way it's currently constructed. If LaMelo Ball, there's leaps that can be had that where you're like, okay, you can just plug Nick Richards in there. But where we are right now, I don't see him being a starting center, but I do see him being in part of some of our better lineups. And we know basketball is all about, what lineups work well with each other. So that could play a role in it. But overall, you're starting center night in, night out. I don't quite see it just because there is some things about the defensive end that makes you wonder. He's pretty good at blocking shots. He's good at rebounding, but he's not your defensive type anchor. Now, I will say to his benefit, maybe that we need a defensive type anchor, but the way this team kind of has played in the past, don't necessarily need it. We're kind of more of an up and down team, but we'll see more Charles Lee, what that's gonna look like. But Mark Williams is a big part of this. If he's not healthy and they want to see what they got, they want to actually give themselves at least a shot to make the playoffs, you have to get on the phone. Jeff Peterson needs to get on the phone and see who's available. But overall, I did want to talk about a couple of, like I said, our expectations. I just want to go through the roster, mainly the starting guys. We know what Meechis is going to do, even though I've been a little weary about what he's done in the preseason. I don't know. I don't know. He just doesn't seem like he really wants to be here, but then I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. I was sold at one point as like, this guy's a good rotational piece, like what he does. As far as like playmaking and basketball IQ at the point guard position and kind of how they run the offense, it's not too different from LaMelo Ball, though their skill sets are completely different. As far as Melo can shoot threes, Meechis is just more, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just not too much. I wouldn't say a drop off, but in style, it's not too much of a drop off. In ability, sure, but not. I'm talking about style. Trey Mann has been exceptional during preseason. Cody Martin we get healthy Cody Martin, this team will go. I think he is as good as the people around him when healthy. We've seen that when his team is, I say really good, but like we have to do really good for our standards. When his team is really good, Cody Martin, his floor is like up here. When his team is kind of fighting and not really having an identity and really struggling, his floor is down here. So he's only as good as the guys around him when healthy. So if he's healthy and we're performing at the level I think we can perform, I think that Cody Martin stock is going to go up. Right now, I'm currently not sold, but he's been out a lot. And then everybody has been out a lot. So, and the team has just changed. So we'll see how that goes going into the season. Grant Williams, I think he's a good player for us. I think he's just a good fit. Stretch the floor, can play small ball 5. I think he just does a lot of things that we don't have. He fills in those gaps. Areas where we're like, we probably should have got someone to do each of those things. He can kind of do it all to a good enough level to where it's respectable and can help us win games. And I've already talked about Nick Richards, Seth Curry. We need that 3. It's just like a 3-point boost. We just need it. And he provides that. Also some veteran leadership just by example. I think that, and the guys respected the way they talk about him. And Tajon Salon, we saw how he performed in Summer League. I don't think that's sustainable because he was shooting at a crazy rate, but brings a lot of energy. I'd like that the game doesn't affect him. He starts off poorly, and then he'll play extremely well and just start doing small things. And then the shot will start picking up. And then you look at the end of the game, it's like, no, that was a complete game. It didn't start that way, but it ended that way. So like what I saw from him, though he probably will spend some time in Greensboro just because I don't quite see where the minutes will go. Maybe early in the season, he'll spend some time with the team as everybody's just still trying to get their legs underneath him. But once we're in this full swing of things, especially we know how Steve Clifford in the past has used someone like Miles Bridges as far as minutes. Tajon may not see his minutes because Miles will get so much. Charles Lee may not run Miles like that, but we'll see. My expectation for this team, and we'll go into, like, as you see, I have other tabs up here, but my expectation for this team without really looking at these is that I think that, and the owners have said this, I think a lot of fans have said that. I'm not saying anything groundbreaking. I just feel like I have not officially came out and say this is my expectation for the team. And like I said, we'll go into predictions in my video tomorrow. But my expectation for the team is somewhere around 40 wins, maybe a little less. And I'm buying room for possible injury, like LaMelo Ball injury, because I don't think that it's in your best interest to maybe run him to the ground. We don't really have to. If they start winning, then, obviously things will change. But I'm talking about right now, this second, without playing a single minute of, regular season basketball. I don't think it's in your best interest to run LaMelo Ball to the ground, especially starting off. But like I said, if they start to win, then we can reevaluate. I do think you want to give Brandon Miller more time to develop. Love to see, I'm not saying they should lose on purpose. I'm just saying where I see the team. We still don't have an update on Mark Williams, and I think that could cause some fluctuation going on because it's about time for him to get it extended. And he's had back problems. He's had foot problems. I talked about it in my last video. His ability, I'm not really too concerned with. I think he's a good player. I think he can hold it down for us, be the defensive anchor that everybody wants him to be a good rebounder. It's just, can he stay on the floor? I just feel as though that is going to hurt us a lot because after that is Nick Richards, Grant Williams, Taj Gibson, and Musa Diabate. And it's just, I don't know. I need more from Mark Williams. I feel as though the other 4 are pretty sturdy. Miles Bridges doesn't really have any injury issues. Brandon Miller really hasn't had any injury issues. Josh Green, Misha, Trey Mann, Cody Martin has, Grant Williams has, and Nick Richards hasn't. So I'm just still buying room for injury. There's going to be times, like I said, it's so difficult. And I've said this on Twitter plenty of times. Sorry about that. But it's so difficult to change everything and then expect like a great, amazing outcome. And while a great, amazing outcome for us is maybe succeed, it's still not easy to do. I think teams like the Miami Heat know they can't coast anymore, which that's what they kind of been doing in years past. They coast, make the playoffs, turn it up. I think that they know right now in the position they're in, they're going to have to try during the regular season. The Pacers are good now. Cavs are good. The bad teams aren't straight trash. I mean, you could talk about the Wizards maybe, but they still have a myriad of talent. We know. I think they beat us last year, so it's just things like that is what I'm accounting for. I'm not really accounting for. I'm not saying that there are games that, we're just going to lose this many games. I'm just accounting for injuries. I'm accounting for the time it takes to adapt with everybody, even though a good portion of the team is still, while they may have been injured, they've been together, but still it's a little different. Like I said, the bad teams aren't just straight up horrible, and it's not like we just beat those teams like we're supposed to. You look at the games, I think we lost against the Pistons last year. So things like that. That's what I'm accounting for. That's why I said they're floating around that 40 win mark. Whether that will get us in the play-in or not, I don't know. But I'm personally, my expectation for this team is not really high. It has nothing to do with the talent. It has everything to do with like the other things in basketball, which to me, that's a good thing. I think in years past, it's been talent. It's been fit. It's been all these things. And in coaching, front office, it's just been so much. This year, I think it's just going to be one of those things where these guys have to run together. These guys have to play together. These guys have to get used to each other. Coach Lee, Coach Lee, this is his first time being a full head coach. Jesus. Jeff Peterson, his first time being a true GM. Like, there's just a lot changing, a lot going on. And that is kind of what I'm accounting for, because we know how much if anyone knows how much your front office can affect your own court performance, it's us. And I'm more than confident in LaMelo, Brandon, Josh, Miles, Mark when healthy, but even, Nick Richards if he needs to be. It's just those other things that it's just going to take time. Like I said, they've been around each other, but they haven't really played together. Coach Lee has just now, you know what I mean? It's just a lot changing. And the league is changing. There's other guys, like I said, around the league. You got the 76ers who, they're going to be at the top. Celtics going to be at the top. Who else am I thinking of? I'm missing some teams, but either way, like the Bulls aren't straight trash. It's just going to be a lot of stuff around us. Do I have confidence that we can be the better team? Do I have confidence that talent-wise, if everything goes right, we could be a 6 seed? Of course. It's just those other things, and I really just truly can't speak on them until we have 10 games. That's kind of where my expectation is. But let's just go ahead. I know I've talked a lot, but let's just go ahead and see what other people are talking about. Just because it's just fun to see. But yeah, let's go ahead. And this is the New York Post. Yeah, this is the New York Post. And the only reason I bring this up because they're not bringing up anything special. It's this right here from Stefan Bondi, Stefan Bondi, or Stephen Bondi. I don't know. Either way, this player will emerge this season. He has Brandon Miller, but he has the Hornets stink. I don't think that's true. I know I just said that we may not win 40 games or whatever the case may be. I truly don't think it's going to be a talent issue. I think it's just going to be the ins and outs of basketball that takes a little second. Also, like I said, we may actually be missing our starting center. As of the time I'm recording this video, there's no word on what his health looks like. So I don't think we stink. Like I said, this team is completely different from years past. I feel as though we have a good myriad of players. I think they kind of fit well together. It's just going to be getting what it takes to be a good team. If we're basing this off strictly talent alone, I think we're there. I don't see the rest being like maybe teams, we'll say 8 through 15 or 8 through 15. I see us being the best of the rest personally. And depending on how you slice it, we might even be able to be 7. Or, you know what I mean? We might even be able to be 6. So I think this is just an incorrect statement. I don't think we stink. But Brandon Miller is a future star. Agreed. Part of what I don't agree. He has to figure out a way to pry the ball away from LaMelo Ball. Now, LaMelo Ball, of course, lead ball handler. Does he hold on to the ball a lot? Sure. Is that what you ask him to do? Of course. Would you rather him not have the ball? No. So it's just like, I wouldn't see it as prying the ball from LaMelo Ball. I think that LaMelo and Brandon are just going to be just fine. I've always said that I think LaMelo Ball is an excellent off-ball player. Personally, the problem with that was that we didn't have anyone to really trust to utilize LaMelo the way he can be utilized off-ball. But so far in the preseason, we've seen Charles Lee do that a lot with pick and roll LaMelo Ball or pick and pop with LaMelo Ball, and it's worked. So using LaMelo having him be able to play on ball, off ball effectively and in a way that flows with the game, I think is going to be huge. And I don't think there's going to be any problem with Brandon Miller prying the ball from LaMelo. I don't foresee that at all. Yes, LaMelo Ball may take too many shots. There might be a couple of things you could say, but I don't think it's like impacting the game negatively as people think. He's confident in his talent. He makes more than he misses in that regard with those deep threes, and I'm pretty sure that's what people are referring to. So yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see how Brandon Miller has to pry the ball from LaMelo. I think they're both going to average 20 with ease. And LaMelo Ball has never been, while he can, we've seen him do it in games. I don't think he's ever going to be the guy. And the average is like 28, 29. That 20 to 24 is where he's going to be. And that's because a lot of stuff he does is he play makes as well. People for some reason forget about that. He's one of the most prolific playmakers in basketball. So I just don't see where this pry the ball from the LaMelo thing is coming from. And that's really all I just want to see. Because I think that's it. Let's double check. Because I really haven't looked at these articles. I was just trying to, that's all they really say. And I disagree with that. So this one, final prediction. The reason I wanted to bring this up, not because you can see right here. I don't know who wrote this. Stephen Noe. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Either way, Eastern Conference standings, the Toronto Raptors. I just can't get with. I don't see how the Toronto Raptors are a better team than us. Yes, they have Jakob Poeltl, who I think is actually would be a good fit for the Hornets, and who we might pry away from them. But RJ Barrett, I'm taking Brandon. Manuel Quickly, I'm taking LaMelo. I know they have Scotty Barnes, and technically, like position-wise, maybe you compare that to Miles, and maybe trajectory-wise, you're taking Scotty, but it is like the comparison 1-to-1 right now. The second, I don't know. But either way you want to slice it. If you want to slice it to who's the most important player on that team is Scotty Barnes. Most important player on the team is LaMelo. I'm taking LaMelo. You want to take the second person, whether it's Emmanuel Quickly or RJ Barrett, it doesn't matter to me. I'm taking Brandon Miller. And then if RJ Barrett maybe is the third person, then I'm taking RJ Barrett maybe over Miles slightly, because RJ Barrett still has like he did really well last year for the Raptors, and then maybe you can go the projected route. But if it's Emmanuel Quickly as the third person, then I'm taking Miles. So it's just like the only thing they may have us beat, like I said, is it's very important in this league to have some type of defensive anchor, whether that's by committee, whether that's just how the scheme of the defense, or whether you just have someone sit in the paint and be the true defensive anchor. It's that important. They have it. But as far as just, do I think they're a better team? No. And then I do believe we're going to get the Hawks a run for their money. I don't think the Hawks are better than us. I think if anything, we're in that same tier. They may have better days. They may have better games. They may have better, outcomes. But 1-to-1 better team, I don't think so. So either way, I think we can be that. And then I'm questionable about the Heat. Heat have Terry, Jimmy, Tyler, Bam. Other than that, I'll take our chances. It's going to be rough because they have what I say that the Hornets are missing, which is Jimmy, Tyler, Bam. They've been together. Terry Rozier. I think that's a really good spot for him, is in terms of they have these three guys who are kind of gelled together, been there. Eric Spoelstra as the coach. Terry Rozier, we just need you to play basketball and hoop. And I think we were asking him to do a little bit too much here. And it just kind of didn't work the way he plays basketball, the way LaMelo, but it just didn't work. But I think that's a good fit for him. So they have, like I said, what I think we're missing, but I think throughout the season we're going to earn and get. Then next season, I think, I'm going to be a lot higher on the Hornets. I think next year is really going to be our year. But yeah, I think we're going to swap places with the Heat. If not this season, definitely next season. So yeah, that was ridiculous. Another one I want to show is CBS Sports. They just have us at 10, and which is fine. I mean, 10 is fine, but like I said, I like our chance against the Hawks. This guy has the Pistons above us. I like our chance against the Pistons. Nets at 9. I like our chance. Who had the Nets? Who's Moss? The Heat revoke his stuff. Nets might be one of the worst teams in basketball. Now, that's not even no disrespect to the Nets. Raptors, Bulls. I like our chances against the Bulls. I like our chances against the Raptors. It is what it is. But that's kind of where people see us. I think whoever has us at 13 is a little too low. No one has us at the bottom, so that makes sense. I think we're the best. Like I said, when you say best in the rest, well, that's you might can go 8, but definitely 9. I know earlier I said 8, but you definitely at 9. From 9 on, I think we're the best team. I personally think we're the best team when healthy. That's the biggest key because we're missing our starting center. But I think we're the best, out of that. Here's a model from ESPN. And this video is going real long, but either way, here's a model from ESPN that says they have us winning anywhere between 37 and 45 games. That's kind of where I am. I would personally, if I had to dwindle it down even more, I would say anywhere between 38 and 42. But they have us at a 34% chance of making the playoffs. That's pretty high, all things considered. And then they have us at a 47% chance to make the play-in, which is that the highest? Because okay, yeah, then I don't like I said, I don't see it with the Bulls. I know they have Zach LaVine. They got Zach LaVine, Josh Giddey, not Caleb. I was wanting to say Caleb Love, but it's not Caleb Love. I can't think of his name, and I love Kobe White. Jeez. Modest Buzelis, Nikola Vucevic, Patrick Williams. Like I'm not too sold on those guys. Aren't bad, and I don't know if I said Zach LaVine, but they're not. They're not bad. I just think we have a chance. Lonzo Ball, did I not mention him? I think. I don't know. I like our chances, man. I like our chances. Pacers. The reason we probably have a higher play-in is because this model thinks that they're probably gonna make the playoffs directly. So yeah, but then they have us higher than the Hawks. So and I will say it depends on like how teams like Orlando performs, how the Knicks perform, I guess. It just depends on how those teams kind of perform to where it will dictate kind of where we be in the standing. But as far as making a plan, even ESPN says we have a high chance if healthy. That's just, I hate to keep saying it, but that's just the biggest thing. And we still have no word, like I said, as of right now, as I'm recording this video with Mark Williams. So that's painful. Here is from Sports Grid. So I know that's not this big, media outlet, but sometimes it's better to hear from the small people like myself. But they have Boston, of course. And this is a good way to see if I have all the teams. So Boston, we know what Boston's going to do. I think we know what the Knicks going to do. I don't think they're going to be in no play-in unless they sit people. Then there's an ad. Maybe I'll get an ad one day. Cleveland Cavaliers, we know what they're going to do. I don't think they're going to be as high as 3, but if I'm okay, so maybe those 2 teams could switch. Because I was about to say out of the teams remaining, they probably have the best player in Donovan Mitchell, but Joel Embiid. And honestly, I'm a big Paul George fan, so maybe Paul George even. But Donovan Mitchell definitely is a heck of a player, so maybe those teams will swap. But either way, at this point, once they get right here, if the Cavs were 4, they have the best player out of everybody. So then the Pacers, fine. Magic, fine. And that's kind of where I see them. Oh, I forgot about the Bucks. That is a team I completely forgot. And they do not have the Cavs do not have Damian Lillard or Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't know with this team. I think they're going to be a play-in team? No. That's probably where the Magic fall because like I said, I completely forgot about the Bucks. If I have Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo, I like my chances. So unless they make some trades or something, then we'll see. But as of right now, I know that the rest of their team may not be where they want them to be, but as of right now, I really like that team. Well, I like that duo, and I think that if you have those two in full offseason, together, I think that you have something special there. I say together, but isn't it a thing that they haven't worked out together or something? I don't know. This is what I really wanted to show, but I just want to show all the teams, which I'm glad because I forgot all about the Bucks. But they have our guy, Ben DiGiacomo, DiGiacomo, I believe is how you pronounce it, has us at 8. And I'll read it. It says, last season, the Magic appeared to be ahead of schedule of their rebuild in this season. I'm relatively confident that it will be the Charlotte Hornets. I'm excited to see what new head coach Charles Lee can do with this young group with a ton of talent. On the court, we know that LaMelo Ball can do in this league, which exactly, but it wouldn't surprise me if Brandon Miller plays his way into the All-Star conversation. Wouldn't surprise me either. Miller is a ferocious scorer and became more comfortable as the season progressed. So I'm looking for him to overtake Ball as the go-to guy on this team. See, that's where it gets a little crazy. I think they can do it together. Am I crazy for thinking that there's no overtake? The only thing I see Brandon Miller technically overtaking is maybe points per game. But I don't for me, that's no indication that he's the guy and LaMelo's not. Or it just means that he may be the guy for scoring, but LaMelo Ball still makes the engine go. I don't know. I don't know if I'm crazy, but maybe because I am so connected to the team as far as like I'm a fan. But I just don't see this whole overtake thing. The only thing I see Brandon Miller overtaking is points per game, which is not even crazy to think so. And I don't think that that's going to stop the game from anymore. LaMelo Ball is also playmaking. And I think now with more talent, he's going to be playmaking a lot more. Those shots are going to be getting, like, we're going to have more hit shots. No more air balls to guys in the corner three. But anyway, I mean, outside of everything else he says, I like. Outside of the two, Miles Bridges provides a jolt of scoring. Completely true. And Mark Williams has flashed when on the court as the starting center. I've already bought a ton of stock in the Hornets, and it wouldn't shock me if they finish higher in the standings. He has them at 8, but he thinks they can finish higher. This guy might be a Hornets fan. Let me know. Let me know, Ben. But then you look at the Heat. I'm not that sold on the Heat. But like I said, the only reason I would place us with them is that they have Jimmy, like they have that core, and that's something we're looking for. But one-to-one comparison in terms of playing, like skill level on the floor, I like our chances, man. I'm not saying that in a 7-game series we win. I'm not saying that at all. But I like I'm not going in it all doom and gloom. Is my point. And even if we played a 1, I like in a 1-off. I like our chances. Chicago Bulls. I think this is more so where the Chicago Bulls will be, and I like our chances against them. In a 1-off, I think we could beat them, even if we lose to the Heat, and then the Bulls win their game. Or no, technically we would play the Bucks. And so if we lose that game, because Giannis and Dame in a 1-off is scary, I like our chances going against either of these guys, whoever wins that game, the 9-10 game. But yeah. That is just it. Like my expectation, I just wanted to show kind of the predictions of what other people had us and where they expect us to be. But my expectation overall is that when healthy, I think we should just go play your hearts out. Don't think about whether you're going to make a play in or not. Just play basketball, gel out, figure out who does what, kind of what's the best lineups, all that. And then we can worry about, once we get deeper into the season, are we going to make the playoffs? Are we not? And kind of pivot off that. But if I were to just, like I said, my expectation is anywhere between 38, 42 games. Maybe I can, in the prediction video, I'll give them a more concise, but anywhere between that when healthy. And once again, has nothing to do with talent, just has to do with everything around us. Let me know what your thoughts are. Sorry this video is so long, but I hope you enjoy it. I enjoy making it for you. And best believe we have a lot of content coming your way. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.